Hey guys, good morning. Brian, Mr. Smith's Kitchen. And today, we're going to make some lemon cupcakes. It's near the end of summer and I thought, before we go knee deep into fall things, I mean, not that we can, I don't believe personally that there is any specific time for any specific baked good dinner. Chili in the summertime is okay. Cupcakes in the wintertime is fine. I mean, you have what you want. If you can, apple pies in the wintertime is fine. Cherry pies, whatever. I mean, the world is your oyster. You make of it what you will. When I was a kid, I used to love to have Chinese for breakfast. So, anyhow, we're going to do lemon cupcakes with a lovely lemon buttercream icing. And I think it's going to be amazing. I don't know yet because we haven't made them. If you're new to my channel, first, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. On my channel, I bake and cook about 99% of everything for the first time together with you. And it shows that if I can do it, surely you can do it. I am not a professional baker. I'm not a professional cook. And I'm just a restaurant manager who has a family of 6 of us total and having adventures. If you're returning to my channel or one of several new subscribers we've had over the last few weeks, thank you and welcome to the neighborhood, hands down. That just I guess it kind of shows I'm doing something right at any rate, or at least you find me entertaining, kind of simple or informative. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Those are all 3 important. It gives out an algorithm, helps continue to grow our neighborhood. So that way we continue communicating and being good neighbors through food, and conversation. So, that being said, comments always welcome. Just be polite. That's all I ever ask. It's okay to disagree, have an opinion I may not or somebody else may not agree with, but please be polite. Think before you type, so to speak. I will give all my measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. I also do grams. That way everybody can play along. If there's a third way to measure things, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to add that to it. So anyhow, that being said, let's get down to the counter. We'll start making these lemon cupcakes, talk about things we need real quick to make this with, and hopefully turn out a good product. Alright, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, we are down here at the counter, and first thing we will need is a recipe, which I have right here. I write down all my recipes in my notebooks, so that way if we like it, we can keep it the way it is. If we need to change something, we most certainly can. And or if we don't like it, we can just easily tear it out and move on with another recipe. So, that being said, things you will need at least 2 bowls. You don't necessarily need a stand mixer. I use a stand mixer because I have one and I like to use it. But you don't have to. You can use a hand mixer. You could probably even use just a whisk or a spoon. Remember, there wasn't always hand mixers and stand mixers. The other thing you will need is a bowl, a medium-sized bowl. If you're going with a regular bowl, you'll want a large bowl also. You will need, hopefully you have a scale. If you don't, that's okay. But scales, which allows you to measure in grams, are a lot more accurate. You get a more consistent product. So, anyhow, that being said, I won't lollygag on the scale, other than the fact that they're only like 15-20 bucks for a good, home kitchen scale. So, in our medium bowl, I have started with 3 cups, 360 grams of all-purpose flour. And to this, I am going to add 3 tablespoons, 12 grams of baking powder. Let's go ahead and get that in there. I have got 2 grams, a half a teaspoon of kosher salt. It looks like a piece of plastic. Kosher salt, which I'll put that in there. Now, if you don't have kosher salt, it's okay. You can use regular salt. I use kosher salt because it hasn't been processed as heavy, and it doesn't really it isn't overpowering with a salt flavor. Instead, it enhances the flavor of what you're trying to do. And the last thing I'm gonna put in here is 2 tablespoons of lemon zest, or I just took 2 lemons and I zested them up, and there's our end product. Now you want to put it, I'm gonna put it in here with this, even though it's a wetter ingredient, because as you can see, it's clumpy. You know, and by putting it in with the flour and all that, it'll help break it up, and that way you don't have clumps of lemon zest in your batter. Yeah, that you don't want. So then we'll just take our whisk and we'll go ahead and get this whisked up. Alright, got that whisked up. Now we can go ahead and start on our wet ingredients. See, this isn't very hard at all. You know, at all. It's a fairly straightforward recipe. Okay, so in our stand mixer, I am going to add to it, to start off, 1 cup, 228 grams of unsalted butter. The butter is at room temperature, minimum. You want it to be softened. That way it's easier to cream. Now let's say you forgot to put your butter out to warm up, an hour or so. It's okay if it's still a little cold. The mixing will cause friction, which will warm up your butter. And then to this butter, I am going to add 2 cups, 400 grams. Right there's our oven. If I didn't tell you, preheat your oven to 375 degrees. That way we are good to go. But I've got 2 cups, 400 grams of just regular granulated sugar. We're going to put that in there. And then we're just going to mix this up until it's creamed. Alright, we got our butter and our sugar creamed up. Let's unlock it so that way we don't take it with us. And I'll show you, you've seen a lot of recipes or videos. They'll tell you to cream your butter or your butter sugar or whatever it is you're creaming until it's light and fluffy. Now, they don't really say what light and fluffy is, so I will show you real quick. Let me get this mixed up, make sure we got everything, the 2 ingredients playing with each other so far. But light and fluffy is like mashed potatoes, basically. See how the butter is no longer yellow, it's light in color, it's white, it looks fluffy like a cloud. That is that is light and fluffy. I reckon it has the texture of, I don't know if reckon's the right word, but it has the texture of mashed potatoes. Like you're making homemade mashed potatoes. A thick, dense mashed potato. Anyhow, I digress. So the next thing we're going to add to our mix, go ahead and turn our mixer back on, is I've got 4 large eggs here. Now you can't see them real well. There they are. And I'm just going to add these in one at a time, and I'm going to mix this until I can't see the yellow of the egg anymore. It's incorporated in. Alright, we've got our eggs in there, well incorporated. We'll go ahead and give this another quick scrape around the edges. Mixers, even hand mixers with a bowl, will create dead spots. And dead spots, will mean that there's some place that your mixer didn't mix. And you don't want that, hands down. That would be a bad thing. So we want to make sure we get all that mixed up real quick. Scrape your sides. You never scrape too much, they say. So the last 2 ingredients to go into the wet is going to be some vanilla. We have got 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla extract. And I use a baking vanilla extract. You want to try to use that. The variant on that is baking extracts are designed made so that when you bake it, it doesn't really lose its flavor. It holds its flavor. Where regular just vanilla extract has a tendency to lose its flavor during baking. It's more for a cooking style, like if you're making a caramel or something. And then I've got, and that was 4 grams. I don't know if I said that just now. I've got 3 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. Now, if you don't have fresh, you can definitely use bottled. Some people will tell you that that's sacrilege. Nah. 3 tablespoons, 45 milliliters of lemon juice. I'm gonna put that in there, and then we're just gonna run this for a second until it's all combined. Alright, so we got our vanilla and lemon juice combined in there. And it may look a little curdled. It's okay. Don't sweat it. It will all work out in the end, I promise. So our last step is we're going to take our dry ingredients. We're going to put half our dry ingredients in. Like such. Maybe a little more. There we go. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want it to be close. And we're going to mix this in, and then I've also got 1 cup 250 milliliters of milk right here. And what I'm going to do is, after I get done incorporating this dry, I'm going to put half my milk in, then I'll put the other half of my flour in, then the remainder of my milk. Alright, be right back. Okay, we got that all going, mixed and incorporated. We hope. We're going to give everything a good quick scrape because we are done with this mixer. That is it on the batter. Hands down. This scraped up. There's that. Give the bowl a quick scrape. Now the recipe I'm following on this says that it gives you a good solid lemon flavor without giving you quite that pucker factor, so to speak, and that's good, because we don't want that. Alright, let me get this all situated and I'll get the cupcake tins, and when I come back we'll start filling tins. Okay, so got rid of the mixer, down to just the bowl, and I've got, this recipe says it will make 24 cupcakes. Now some recipes vary because it depends on your muffin tin, and your scoop. So normally I weigh out my cupcakes, but and I go about 55 grams per cupcake if that's what you so choose to do. You want it to go about 2/3 to 3/4 full, or 1 cookie scoop. I think the cookie scoop or ice cream scoop works best in some cases, especially if you're just making them from home. The important thing is you want consistency. So all we'll do is fill our tins just like that, and see, I mean, it's about the perfect amount. We're about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 full, and that's what we want. So I'll go ahead and get these filled, and then we'll talk about what to do when we put them in the oven. 24. One's a little smaller than I'd like it to be, but that's alright, it's close. And actually, those 3 are probably a little shorter than I want them to be, but that's alright. But the reason why you want to measure out and get them as even as possible is so that way they bake evenly. You don't want to go more than 2/3 to 3/4 full, or you end up with muffins, because they'll come out of the top and out onto the pan like a muffin would. So anyhow, let's get these in the oven real quick, and we'll talk about how long to bake them for. Alright, so we just got them in the oven, 375, and I am going to bake these, I'm going to tell you, 18 to 22 minutes. I've got mine in there for 19 minutes, because that seems to be about 18 to 20, probably closer to 20 is the norm on mine. And you're just going to toothpick test them. When your timer goes off, you'll take a toothpick and stick it into, I use the 2 center cupcakes, and if they come out clean, which I'll show you when we come back, they're done. So when I come back, we'll take a look at our baked result and talk about what we're going to do next. Alright, hold on for me 1 second. We're out of the oven, and all we have to do now is we're going to let these cool 5 minutes in the pan, then we'll take them out of the pan. That's mostly just so you don't burn yourself touching the pan, and so they don't over bake. But let's test them just to make sure we're good. So we'll go ahead and get that poked in there, and I don't know how well you can see that, but it's got a little bit of crumb on it, but that's okay, that's what we want. So we'll do this other one, same thing, came out clean. We're looking for no batter is what we're looking for. So we're good. We're good. So we're good. So we're gonna let these cool for about 5 minutes in the pan, then I'll take them out of the pan and sit them on the rack they're sitting on now. And when I come back, we'll move on to the icing to put on it. All right, see you here in a second. All right, so cupcakes are cooling, and now we're gonna make some icing real quick. So we're gonna make a buttercream icing, and that's gonna require 2 sticks, 228 grams or 1 cup of butter, and it's soft. It's not, excuse me, quite room temperature, but it's close. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this cream. Okay, so we got our butter creamed. And the difference between room temperature and softened, in case you didn't know, is just basically the temperature of the butter. We want our butter to stay still somewhat, cold, because if it's not, your icing, you want it to be cold. You don't want it to be hot or warm. It makes it too fluid sometimes. And if that ever happens, you can just simply stick it back in the fridge, or stick it into the fridge, and it'll firm back up. So remember, it's butter, and butter firms up in the fridge. All right, so we've got our butter creamed, which means it is no longer a stick. Go ahead and get that scraped down real quick off the sides. And to our butter, we are going to add, I took a half a lemon. Well, I took a whole lemon, but I only used half of it. I zested the rind off the outside, right? So I've got a half a thing of zest lime. Hold on for me 1 second. Sorry about that, my phone was ringing. All right, so I've got some lemon zest, zested half a lemon, and we're gonna put that in there. And then to that, I am going to add a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of salt. The lemon zest doesn't really have a weight. It's more of just this is what you need. And then that half a lemon that we zested, I went ahead and squeezed the juice of it. I'm gonna put that in there. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get that all incorporated really well. Okay, we got that incorporated. Do a quick scrape. Get everything back off the sides. Such. I got a Sarah trying to be sneaky.
I was sneaky until you said something. No, I think our backyard got TV'd.
Oh. Yeah, that scraped down. Yeah, without, I suppose you don't have to scrape down the icing. Or scrape down the sides every single time, but it does help. So now I've got 434 grams, 3.5 cups of confectioner sugar or powdered sugar. And what we're going to do is we're going to start incorporating this in. And I'm just going to do it a cup at a time, and I did sift it to get the lumps out of it. That helps kind of give you a creamier icing. So like I said, we're just going to do a cup at a time, cup-ish at a time. Doesn't have to be exact, but you don't want to do it all at once, or you'll be forever trying to get this to mix. Now, here is the key to a smooth icing without getting air in it, because air causes weird pockets to happen, and air pockets to happen, is to mix it on a low speed. So I'm going to add a cup at a time in here, and I'm going to mix it on the low speed until the powder is in the into the butter, so that way it doesn't blow up in my face. But I'm not going to turn it any higher up than 2 on my mixer, which would be about 2 on yours. I also have 2 tablespoons of milk, so that way I can thin it out as it gets thick. All right, we got our icing done. I didn't quite use all the milk. The reason why you're putting the milk into your batter or your icing is so that way you can get it to a pipeable consistency. Yeah, when you're doing cupcakes and you're using a piping bag or anytime you're using a piping bag, you want your icing to be a little thinner than, say, like if we were icing a cake. That way it goes through your piping bag a little easier. So all I'll do now is I'll get this mess cleaned up, go get the cupcakes off the kitchen table, and then we can and I'll get our icing into a piping bag. Right there's our icing. And so it's got a nice smooth, a texture. Now, let's say you do have air pockets in it. You're going through here and you see a bunch of air pockets in there. All you have to do is just kind of fold it and smash it together, in the bowl, and that will eliminate your air pockets. All right, well, let me get this cleaned up, and when I come back, we will be icing some cupcakes and trying one. All right, see you here in a second. Okay, so got our icing in the piping bag, and what I was talking about with the milk and making it a little thinner to get it through the piping bag. If I wouldn't have added any milk to it, it'd been so thick that no matter how hard I squeezed on this, we would have struggled to get it out. So I got a fluoride tip on there, just like that. Use whatever tip you prefer, however you like to go. And all I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna go completely to the edge, right? I know, and you may want to, I just don't. I want you to be able to see the cupcake underneath. I do want to show you something real quick though. And this has to do with what we were talking earlier about, I like to use a scale to fill my cups with. See how this one here is up high on the cupcake line? It didn't go over, but this one next to it, not so much. It's still good, it's still edible, it's still usable, it's going to taste tender and delicious all the same. But that's why I like to use a scale, so that way I know I have the same amount in every cup, and they more than likely come out like this, or a good balance of the two. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these iced, and then when I come back, we will try one. All right, there we are. Our cupcakes are done. Now, you could top these with a little more lemon zest, or you could go get those lemon drop candies and put them on there, or just sprinkles, green and yellow sprinkles, maybe, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I got some really cool Halloween wrappers. I think they're really neat. Hands coming up. Okay, so anyhow, there, my friends, is our finished product at any rate. And let's give this a try. What do you say? Back her up there. Bring it up here so I can see your smiling face, because that's important to me. I know it means you gotta look at my ugly mug, but I get to see you smile. My favorite part of baking is watching people's looks on their face when they take that bite and the smile they get after that first bite. I think that's just the best thing ever. So let's try one of these bad boys. There we are in all its fame and glory. And like I said, I don't take you ice yours the way you like, by all means, but I don't take mine all the way around, because I try to find that perfect balance between cake and icing. Sometimes I think that, especially when you go at the bakery, they put just a ton of icing on there, which looks beautiful, but I think, creates an imbalance between the taste of the icing and the taste of the cake, and I am always looking for that perfect balance. So I try my hardest not to put it around there, but anyhow, or all over it. But anyhow, let's give this a try and see how they taste. That is refreshing. That's hands down refreshing. The cupcake is very cake. It's moist. It's got a good solid crumb on it. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's not dense. It's not so light that it's going to wobble all over the place. That icing is so smooth. Speaking of which, I actually don't have one. Oh, but yeah, I do. Okay, so if you look, sorry, let me look at my other camera here so I can find it again. Where'd it go? I lost it. But okay, so if you look right in there, you can see that real well. But see those little holes in the, like right in there, up and over, but anyhow, right in there, that is caused by air. That's an air pocket. And you'll get those if you whip too fast, only they get really big when you whip your icing. But anyhow, this is so good. I absolutely love it. I ain't something to set it on. So we can talk. It's not so lemony that it's going to take your breath away and make your face do that thing. It's not so sweet that it's overbearing. That is a perfect balance. Hands down. So, give this a try. If you do give it a try, let me know. You can leave me a comment down below. You can hop on Facebook, find my Facebook group, Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Leave me a comment there. We also share recipes there. Try to have good conversation. And yeah, it's just a good, safe place to go on social media, I think. Yeah, we don't allow shenanigans. You know, but we do have a good community there. So, if you do, let me know. Either way, here, there, either way. Next week for dinner, I'm not real sure what we're making yet. I have a list of about 20 dinner ideas I want to try, so I don't know which one I'm going to choose. So when I say I have no idea what we're making next week, it's not that I don't have dinner or baking ideas. I just don't know which one I'm going to choose yet. I usually don't know until that morning. But we're going to try something good, I guarantee it. So that being said, till next week, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them, and you love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's going to make them feel good either way. It's going to make you feel good to tell them. And if you make some of these cupcakes and share them, maybe invite a neighbor over, that is going to, you know, just bring conversation, hours of conversation, and you get to know people that way. Somebody new moved into your neighborhood, or you made a new friend, started a new job, you make them some of these cupcakes, they're going to think you're the most amazing employee and coworker ever. So till next week for dinner and dessert, I love you. I'll talk to you then. All right? Bye-bye.